Is climate just long-term weather? Is climate change purely human-made, or is nature playing a role too? Is the greenhouse gas effect always bad? In this video, we are breaking down what climate change really means, and just as importantly, what it doesn't. Let's bust the myths, uncover the facts, and explore what really is happening to our planet. Welcome to Climate360, the climate story simplified. Chapter 1: Climate versus Weather, Understanding Climate Change. Let's start with the common confusion: climate versus weather. Weather is what happens today: rain, heat, cold. If you are in the UK, that could mean all the three in a single afternoon. Climate, on the other hand, is the long-term pattern, like saying Delhi has extreme summers or Bangalore has mild weather. Now, what is climate change? It's a long-term shift in the climate patterns, typically measured over 30 years or more. Let's take a look at what that means. The planet has never heated up that fast in the recorded history. CO2 levels are soaring, and so is the heat. Earth is absorbing more heat than it can release. Melting ice, rising seas, spreading deserts, the signs are everywhere. These changes are accelerating, which is why scientists call it as a climate emergency. Chapter 2: Why understanding climate change matters to all of us. So now we have seen what climate change looks like on a global scale. But why does it matter to you and me? Let's bring the conversation closer to our homes. Let's take India as an example. Over half the country relies on farming. A 1 degree rise in the average temperature can reduce crop yields by around 10%, hurting both food security and livelihoods. In Punjab, India, early heat waves in 2023 caused wheat yields to drop by 10 to 15%, according to the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, hitting households' grocery budgets nationwide. But it's not just agriculture. Rising heat and pollution are already harming public health, from heat strokes to respiratory illnesses. In 2022, India saw over 24,000 suspected heat stroke cases and more than 10,000 deaths linked to extreme heat events. And the economic cost? Huge. Climate change could shrink developing countries' GDP by around 4% annually by 2050 if we don't act. Chapter 3: Humans or Nature? Who's really behind the climate change? Now that we have seen how climate change is affecting our lives, the big question is, who's responsible? Is it humans, or is nature also playing a role? Let's break this down. Climate change is driven by two types of forces: natural and human-made. Natural drivers include volcanoes, solar flares, and ocean cycles like El Nino and La Nina. Human-induced factors mainly come from greenhouse gases released by burning fossil fuels, cutting forests, and large-scale industrial activity. Let's look at both the contributors, starting with the natural ones. Volcanoes release aerosols that cool the earth. Solar cycles create minor shifts. El Nino and La Nina disrupt weather worldwide. Here's what stands out. Nature changes slowly, but today's fast-rising temperatures point straight to us. Burning fossil fuels and raising greenhouse gases is heating the planet at an unnatural pace. Take a look at this chart. For thousands of years, CO2 levels barely moved. Nature kept things in balance. But after 1950s, boom, sharp spike. Nature never dumped 40 billion tons of CO2 into air in a year, but humans do, from coal, oil, cars, and cutting down forests. In fact, scientists estimate that over 95% of CO2 rise since 1950 is due to human activities and not natural ones. Chapter 4: Is the greenhouse gas effect the villain? Which brings us to the big question everyone's wondering. Is greenhouse gas effect the real villain in a climate crisis? Let's break it down. Greenhouse gases are gases in the air that trap heat from the sun and keep our planet warm, like an invisible blanket around the earth. These include carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and water vapor. The greenhouse gas effect often gets a bad reputation. The irony is, without it, Earth's temperature would drop to minus 18 degrees. It's a natural system that makes life possible. Problem: we have overloaded the atmosphere with greenhouse gases from burning coal, oil, and gas. It's like piling on too many blankets. Since the Industrial Revolution, humans have increased atmospheric CO2 by nearly 50%, pushing it to levels not seen in over 3 million years. CO2 is the most common, coming from vehicles and power plants. Methane is a bit less common, but it's over 25 times more effective than CO2 at trapping heat over a 100-year period. And it's released by farming, landfills, and livestock like cows. Here's a fun fact. Historically, the UK led the Industrial Revolution and became world's first major greenhouse emitter, responsible for nearly a third of global CO2 emissions by 1900. But today, its contribution is less than 1%, largely due to a transition to renewable energy. Currently, China is the largest emitter, followed by the US, with India's emissions rapidly increasing. So before we wrap, let's clear up a few common climate myths. The greenhouse gas effect is bad. Not quite. It's essential for life on the earth. The issue is we have supercharged it. India's emissions don't matter. Actually, India is world's third largest emitter and emissions are still rising. It's too late to do anything. Not true. Countries like the UK have cut emissions by nearly 50% since 1990. Solutions are working already. Climate only affects future generations. Just look at heat waves, flood, and rising prices today. It's already happening. So, in a nutshell, climate change is no longer a distant threat. It's here, shaping our weather, our health, and our daily lives. From food we eat to the air we breathe, the impacts are real and growing. The time to understand and act is now, because the cost of inaction is simply too high. If this video gave you a fresh perspective, give it a like, share it with someone curious, and hit the subscribe button. There is a lot more to uncover.